Cleveland podcast. All things Cleveland sports with your host, John Suchan. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Johnny Cleveland podcast. We're here on the Fanatical Elves Network. It's a Saturday night coming to you on a late Saturday evening, almost 9 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for joining us here on our network. We've got a plethora of great other shows. Tomorrow, catch up with Steve Gill in the morning. He'll have his Dog Pound South show. Then starting next week, I'll have my series of Coffee Jolts. Rod Bloom will be having his Browns Blitz later in the week, along with Sam the Man will be bringing his Browns Blitz. Also maybe doing another Stadium Mustard and the Cincinnati Chili show that I do with my colleague Troy. Have a lot of fun with that. And so thanks again for tuning into all those programs. You can follow us here on YouTube, on Facebook, on the X. You can listen to us later on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, anywhere you listen to your podcast. Type in Cleveland Browns and the Fanatical Elves are going to pop up. Or just type in Fanatical Elves, ELFZ, or look us up at Elves Network on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We're bulldozing ahead on TikTok. We're almost to 1,300 followers. Thank you for following us on TikTok. Or try to reach out to good old buddy, a great Cleveland Browns of all time. I know many of you love this guy, Bernie Kosar. Yeah, that guy right back there, Bernie. So Bernie, if you're listening to us here on the Fanatical Elves Network, I did share tried to reach out to you. Hope if you want to reach back, I know you follow us here on the Fanatical Elves Network, and we would love to have you here on our network to talk Cleveland Browns football. Your journey, the Browns' journey when you were around today, all the great information that you can provide about this upcoming season. So if you're listening, Bernie, come on down. We'd love to have you on our program. All right, so let's get to the my news and notes. So typically, like the last week, I've been doing this Coffee Jolt, and we'll be doing that again next week. I'm on my long summer break, which is going far too fast. I get 6 weeks off, which I know I'm a teacher or an educator, and all you guys like, oh, well, you teachers, educators, you have such a cushiony job. Well, okay, sure, great. But we do have 6 weeks, so I'm trying to take full advantage of it. But at this point, we're ending week 2, and believe me, I'm counting the days. So we're trying to make every day last as long as it possibly can. Well, we've got 4th of July coming up, so we're going to be talking about that as we get into this. Is a busy week. I know a lot of you will be traveling and whatnot, and hopefully you're having a good weekend tonight. And maybe some of you are out and about. You're coming back. You're scrolling through your phone. Hey, you see the Fanatical Elves. You see the Johnny Cleveland podcast. Stop and wait. Listen. Pay attention. We had a great. Anybody? I know that we just had our food show with the Stadium Mustard show with Troy, like I said earlier in the week, but we talked food on that program. But we made BLT sandwiches tonight for supper. Now, BLTs are BLTs, but man, when you make a good BLT, it can change your life. The bacon with a good tomato, some great lettuce, little mayo on there. The bread's got to be perfectly toasted too. So we had that. It all came to be, and it was a wonderful BLT sandwich earlier tonight. So if you're thinking about doing something, you haven't had a good BLT sandwich, go grab yourself some bread, some tomato, lettuce, and bacon, of course. It's got to be the thick kind, right? The thick bacon. We had like the Applewood smoked bacon, and we cooked it in the oven tonight. Sometimes I'll cook it on the flat top outside. Sometimes on top of the stove. Tonight we cooked it in the oven, and it came out pretty damn good. So So if you're thinking about eating a BLT, try it maybe tomorrow. Now tomorrow, I know we got a brisket. I'm gonna be cooking a brisket all afternoon. Looking forward to that. Actually, just got my wonderful wife Laura ordered me a new smoker. I've got a smoker now. So the Johnny Cleveland Diner is open for business, and we're going to be doing a lot of smoked meats coming up. And but before we get that settled up, I do have a brisket, and we're going to do the old style snake style with the charcoal around the old Weber grill tomorrow. So looking forward to doing that. But man, it's been the weather around here in Columbus. It's been dreary and kind of overcast and rainy and all sorts of things. We haven't seen the sun in like 3 days. I mean, it pops out for a minute or two. The humidity is higher than Hades. It's going to be hotter than Hades all this week. If you live in this part of the world, the air temperatures are going to be up in the mid 90s. It's going to be feel like Florida. We're going to Florida in a week, so it'll get us prepped for what we'll see when we get down there to the great state of Florida. All right, so you heard my my spiel on PLTs. Go grab yourself a sandwich. The World Cup. I was talking to Troy the other day because Troy's really into soccer, and I try to get into soccer. My son Alec he's the master of like soccer World Cup things. He does all these videos. He has this YouTube channel called I'm Jabster. If you want to look it up, it's I am Jabster, Jab ZTER, Jabster. He's got like almost 300,000 subscribers. So, I mean, we here at the Johnny Cleveland podcast and the Fanatical Elves aren't quite there yet. We don't win contests either. I know some of you out there win contests, and congratulations, you guys. There's a lot of really good podcasters out there, and I know we're competing for your time and talent. But by the way, if you are talented, which I know many of you are out there, and you have considered doing a podcast, or maybe you've tried it and you weren't sure, or maybe you've never tried podcasting and you like to speak, you like to talk, let us know. DM me here at John Suchan or at the Elves Network, and you can direct message us and let us know if you have that interest because we are looking for more podcasters all the time. And if you have that interest, you want to talk about Cleveland Browns, let us know. So the World Cup, it's been going on for what, 2, 3 weeks now, and they're just finishing up the group stage of the competition. And the U.S. Won their first 2 games, and so this last game they just played against Turkey, which they spell it weird, but uh, they lost. The U.S. lost to Turkey, last second goal. Actually, the U.S. scored right away. I know Troy and I were doing our show. I feel bad because Troy missed the first USA goal. Anywho, um, so the U.S. lost, and I'm just looking here. Just hold on 1 second. Dun, 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 dun. I'll try to sing a song for you while I do this. Give me 1 minute here. So the U.S. won, so they're off. They're into the round of 32, which is very big. Sounds like they're going to play Bosnia, Bosnia is supposed to be, a very good team. Um, I think they got by. They're ranked third. The U.S. is ranked first. I mean the rankings don't matter. I mean all these teams are really good at this point. So we'll see how it all plays out. But at this point, it's exciting. The U.S. team plays Wednesday night, I believe, out in Santa Clara, California, which is I think where is that, the San Francisco area? So they have their game Wednesday night, and then if they win that one, then I believe they play Sunday or Monday the following week. So it's win or lose. So if they go in there and they lose, it's over. But they've certainly looked really good. The other night when they lost, they played only 2 of their starters of the 11 that were on the field. So there were a lot of substitutes, a lot of guys that don't play regularly in the starting role. So I expect that the U.S. team will be better prepared and ready to roll. It's crazy to me though, because I know a lot of you are football fans, and you love Cleveland as do I. But the number of people that pay attention to this stuff, like we as Browns fans, we pay attention obviously because we're Browns fans, but the Super Bowl drew 230, 40 million people uh the last time. Actually, no, not even that many. It drew like 140 million people the last time, which is a lot of people to watch the Super Bowl. But for comparison's sake, the first game of the World Cup a few weeks ago drew 1.2 billion people, 10 times the amount of people watching the Super Bowl. So just keep that in mind. Um, Overall, they say, um, 7 billion people that end up watching the tournament, which is just crazy. So I know there's a lot love affair for football and baseball, and people are saying, well, the people were upset because yesterday there's some people were upset with Iran lost on a last second goal where they thought they had it, but they were jumped off sides, and the rules are confusing the people here in the States, which I understandable. I get it. I mean, you're confused, but it doesn't mean that everybody else around the world, the other 8 billion people that are watching the game, means anything less to them. It means a whole deal. And if you were ever to get out of the United States and travel and see the rest of the world, you would see quickly that soccer, World Cup, the football, is ginormously bigger than anything that any of you have ever experienced. And so some of you are hell bent on uh, football, NFL rules. Great. I love the NFL, but most of the rest of the world doesn't. Um, while we're talking about the rest of the world, just in I know it's been a very interesting week, especially geologically. There have been numerous earthquakes across the globe, which we all talk about this. We all grew up, learned about how the Earth works, and we went through a series of events this past week in Venezuela. Was affected the most. I think they had a huge couple of quakes that did a lot of damage to many parts of Venezuela. So hopefully those people are safe. We wish them only the best in recovering from that. It's got to be monumental. So, hey, let's pause for a quick commercial break while we have your attention. We'll be right back here. We've got lots more to talk about, including one Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks for coming back to the Johnny Cleveland podcast. We're part of the Fanatical Elves Network. Shout out to Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. They shake the hand of the farmer. Check out our X page where we have a link. If you click on that link, go buy some Hemisphere coffee, and you will kick back a few extra pennies back here to our podcasting network. And also shout out to Sherry's Licorice. They are a company down there in Goshen, Ohio, outside of Cincinnati. They are been around for quite a while. They just started up a website in recent months, and we're looking to team up with them, hopefully down the line. And we just love their licorice. My wife, Laura, checked out their website a few months ago, and we've been ordering licorice from them, and it is amazing stuff. Amazing. So check them out. Sherry's Licorice and Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. Just have both at the same time. That's what I do. I mean, I have my cup of coffee in the morning. I'll do the coffee jolt. I'll have a little licorice stick here, and we're good to go for breakfast. All right. So before we get into the Johnny Manziel uh, situation, I want to talk about the Browns here. Uh, just I mentioned this the other day, and I'm not a huge fan of the WNBA. I think there's a lot of good things with it, but right now, what's been circulating with um, Caitlin Clark, who's brought a lot of attention to the WNBA, but then you have these other counterparts that are coming along, tagging along, like Sophia Cunningham, who I've already talked about endlessly, who I loathe. She said some really bad things about Cleveland a couple months ago about how no one would want to come play in Cleveland and all this hogwash. I mean, these kids are they're kids, and I mentioned it before, but it's just annoying. There's this meme now going around because Caitlin Clark got in this scuffle with this one player, last week, and because of that, that Sophia Cunningham came out with this ridiculous, you know, obnoxious, stupid counterpart. And people are on the internet and stuff, talking about how much they love her and how this is just so hilarious. And it just shows how sad some of you out there are who applaud this sort of behavior. And it's just disgusting. And it shows how far some of you can stoop. And that's what I don't like too, what's going on in the WNB, especially because there is a lot of back and forth between players and coaches, and it just doesn't seem right now that the center of attention is where it needs to be. And I know they want to try to grow this league. I don't watch these games with any sort of consistency, so I don't want to speak too much about it. But Caitlin Clark is getting pushed around quite a bit. A lot of these players are as well, but obviously Caitlin Clark gets the attention. What I don't like about Caitlin Clark, and I've said this for months on end, I think that she's a crybaby. I think she has these tantrums on the court, and it's just looks so dumb. And I know some of you think that, she's speaking her mind and all this stuff, but you can do it a different way. And that's the problem that I see with her at this point. So we'll see what happens with that. But let me move on to another stupid Cleveland Brown, former Cleveland Brown, since we're talking about idiots out there these days. Johnny Manziel, I guess, I think it looks like now, he's done this before, but it looks like again earlier today he was on a podcast with Shannon Sharp, I think, and Ocho Cinco, stupid one, Chris Johnson, the guy who was blurting out last week about Shador Sanders and Deshaun Watson starting and all this crap. So I guess Johnny went on their podcast and basically he said that I don't, F the Browns and I hope they go 0-16. Obviously, people have pointed out, hey, Johnny, it's a 17 game season, but you're an idiot. And he continues to be an idiot. I wrote an article. There was an article by Bleacher Report this past week. They talked about the biggest draft busts of all time, the top 99 draft busts. And the Browns had four players on that list. You can probably guess that Johnny Manziel was on that list. Surprisingly, in that same list, Justin Gilbert, who was drafted ahead of Johnny Manziel in the 2014 draft, did not get, was not on that list, which he was taken higher and he was even worse. But I think what makes it worse with Johnny Manziel is that he opens his freaking mouth and he just talks trash. He's an idiot. He's been doing all sorts of bad things, and he was doing bad things back then and he hasn't figured it out. And sometimes you come across people that just aren't really good deep down, and they know that they're not very good, and they talk bad about things that they shouldn't be talking about, and that's what this Johnny Manziel guy is all about. And so it's just sad. It's sad because Browns fans don't deserve it. We don't deserve to hear that he's rooting for us to be 0-16. So there you go. Speaking of other idiots in the local media, since I'm on a hot take here, this just uh, you know. We cover sports, we cover the Browns, we cover lots of different things, and I understand, we kind of cross over, and I'm talking about the Cavs sometimes, and the Indians or the Guardians, and there's a lot of overlap. And while I respect a lot of you out there who are in the local media, and I see some of you guys that are out there, and I know you guys try to do a fine job, and I know part of your job is to make money, and part of your job is to create clicks so that your company makes money. But some of these takes that some of you have out there, I was, this past week, Anthony Lima and Ken Carmen have been talking about the whole stupid Brendan Sorsby thing, and Anthony Lima can't give it up. Like he thinks that Sorsby was this gift to God, and he was going to bring the Browns, like their franchise quarterback. And it's like the guy just got double whammied. He got knocked out of the NFL. NFL doesn't want anything to do with him and are not allowing him to be part of the supplemental draft. And on top of that, 2 days ago, the CFL, the Canadian Football League, came out and said, hey, Brendan Storsby, you can't come up here to Canada either and play football. So there you go. Maybe since the Canadian Football League spoke up, maybe some of you local Browns beat writers and who cover the team on radio can just stop talking about it, because he's not going to be playing in the NFL. I know Mike Florio, the national guy, came out who likes to talk about himself all the time, and he was talking about how, well, what the NFL did wasn't right, and there's some legality here and blah blah blah. Just give it up. Just give it up. This kid needs to show some accountability. But what even bothers me more, after we talk about somebody like Anthony Lima, then you get people who are covering other sports teams more hardcore, like the Cavs. So like there's Chris Fedor. Chris Fedor, I've listened to you, I've watched your stuff, I've read your material for years, respected it. A lot of you know that I have a connection with Dean Wade and his family, and know some of his previous past as coaches at the high school and middle school level. So I know Dean a little bit. But this doesn't have anything to do with Dean. Just the fact that I've seen Chris Fedor write about Dean, and very respectful, and he's a positive character. So I really never heard Chris talk on the radio, and got a chance to listen to him talk, spewing just crap about Shador Sanders yesterday, and it got a lot of attention because that's what we do. We try to get clicks. But he actually said, this is Chris Fedor, but his quote was, I would rather poke myself in the eyeballs repeatedly than watch Shador try to play quarterback at the NFL level. I am open to any idea that prevents me from watching Shador Sanders play quarterback on Sundays. He was statistically one of the worst quarterbacks that we've ever seen. He was just terrible. I actually went back and watched the interview and made sure that he actually did say this, and he really did, and he was adamant about it. And I'm just like, Chris, you're an idiot. You are just a complete idiot for that take. I don't know how else to say it. Your take is completely off base. It has no it. There's nothing about it that's correct. You want to talk about him being a terrible quarterback. The kid won 3 games. He was thrown into the fire. He had no first reps with the first team until halfway through the season. We all know what happened. And yet you want to come out here and say that he's the worst quarterback you've ever seen, even though Deshaun Watson had statistically worse stats, right? Statistically worse the year before in 2024. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. So I just, we have this show here in Columbus, the fan here locally, 97.1. They do a great job, and I love listening to the Common Man and Timmy on Fridays. And I've mentioned this before, and they have a segment called "Go Straight to Jail" segment. And Chris Fedor, you should be going straight to jail if they were doing this segment talking about outrageously stupid takes. You are right up there with that. So, man, anxious to see what else you have to say. I think you should stick to basketball. You know how like back in the day when LeBron was getting people would come out and they would be critical of LeBron, and some idiots out there in social media and the national takes especially were telling LeBron that he should stick to basketball. Well, like it, it was it wasn't appropriate by the people who were speaking that, but in this case, Chris, you cover basketball pretty well, but you should not be talking. I mean, you might not like Shador, but man, and you're welcome to your opinion, but it's really just an outrageous take. I mean, you'd rather poke your eye out. That is just nuts. I don't know how else to say it. So, um, hopefully you have something nice to say about the Browns moving forward. We already talked about Storsby. Um, the only other the other downtrodden guy on the team, and Steve and I talked about this on our Fanatical Elf show last Thursday, was Jerry Jeudy. And I had also written an article because it was this suspect. I'm going to take a sip of my Diet Coke. Hold on one second. It was discussed that maybe Jerry Jeudy would be a trade possibility for the Browns. The Browns would get back about $3 or $4 million if they in cap space if they did choose to trade him at this point. point. But there's some conversation as far as the Browns have said, well, he's a veteran and he's a wide receiver one. I don't think he's a wide receiver one, but he brings some veteran presence to the locker room, which I get. There's not many more veterans like Denzel Ward and Jerry Jeudy, but I told Steve this, and I'm saying it again. I mean, I've said it last week. I just think that Jerry Judy's a knucklehead, and his mental capacity is not there, and I don't trust him, and I don't think you should trust him watching him on any given Sunday. I know he had 1,200 yards 2 years ago, but that's not happening ever again. We have two new rookie wide receivers, and I'm telling you right now, Shador Sanders is not going to rely on Jerry Jeudy this upcoming season if he's quarterbacking, or for that matter, Deshaun Watson, even though I would despise seeing Deshaun out there. So let's see what happens. But maybe Jerry Jeudy does get traded maybe before the season starts. Denzel Ward also possibility. Does he get traded right now? Probably not. People are not discussing it that much. I think and Denzel seems like he's set to return to Cleveland. Myles Garrett, on the other hand, he's out there in Los Angeles now. Miles is in a commercial for some hotel chain. Forget who, but I don't recall seeing Miles in any commercials when he was here in Cleveland. So good luck to Miles now, following LeBron out to Los Angeles. Now the thing is, does LeBron come back to Cleveland? There's been a lot of chatter about this for the last several weeks, and LeBron and his buddies from the 2016 team got together overseas. They met over in Scotland. Now, I understand that every player got invited. I heard that Kyrie did get invited, but he could not attend. But then I read one of the guys didn't get invited. One of our center, he meant there was some tweet about that earlier today. I'm running out of juice here with my voice. But there was also this conversation after they had this trip between, I think, Richard Jefferson and oh dude, I can't think of the guy's name. It's going to come to me here any second. His teammate, they were talking about how they didn't think that the Cavs had a soul. They didn't have their unit was not strong. They didn't trust one another. They didn't like one another. And I don't. Oh, Channing Frye said this. Don't know where he got that. If it's just from watching the team, but him saying that, some people have speculated, well, that means that LeBron's not going to come back to Cleveland. But then there's other people out there in La La Land who are saying, well, they're hearing that he could definitely come back. So I guess the guy that predicted he was going to come back to Cleveland many years ago with a tweet, he came out last night or 2 days ago with a similar tweet saying that he was coming back. So it's got everybody kind of excited again. And I think you and I both know that if LeBron came back to Cleveland, I think the fan base would welcome him back with open arms. I mean, I know a lot of you think that he's over the hill. How is he going to help the Cavs? Blah blah blah. But he's LeBron. He was born and raised here. You understand that. He gets it. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't put it by the Cavs to bring the guy in. Who knows what's going to happen? But I don't believe what Channing Frye is saying about how this team doesn't like one another. I can tell you personally, and I mentioned this a couple weeks ago on my show, that Dean Wade and Jared Allen are best friends. They were in each other's wedding. They were the best man at each other's weddings. They are very close friends. Families are close. Had a chance to meet Jared Allen's family after a game once, just to say hello and stuff. They seem very, very kind and generous. And so, as far as that's concerned, I don't know where he's getting that information, the Channing Frye, and suggesting that the Cavs don't like one another. I mean, how the Cavs went out, it's never good when you see a team lose like that and finish the season. No one wants to see that, but it is what it is. So finally, just Dean Wade. Again, I've been saying this for weeks, and I saw that somebody was posting this. that, hey, Dean Wade's going to explore free agency. Hey, if you just come over here to the Johnny Cleveland podcast and taken my quote like 3 months ago, maybe not that long ago, a month and a half ago, I told you the same thing. I know for a fact that Dean Wade is exploring his free agency options. And you would know why because I've already told you why. We'll see what happens with Jarrett Allen. Like I said, Jarrett Allen and Dean are good friends, and Jarrett Allen is out there. Could he be traded? Potentially. I would just be at this point be open to a lot of possibilities. I think the Cavs are going to continue to explore their options. They did pick up some kid from Arkansas in the second round of the NBA draft. By the way, and I mentioned this uh, the other night, Dalen Swain, former Afrocentric boys basketball player, played at Xavier and went on to play at Texas last year. He got drafted at number 15 by the Chicago Bulls the other night. So congratulations, Dalen. Congratulations. You've earned this. I got to work with Dalen as his school counselor for a few years when I was at Afrocentric as their counselor, and really appreciated his efforts. Talking to his high school coach back in the day, Dalen worked hard, and he's been given a really great opportunity. He worked hard when he went to Xavier. He went to Texas and did some really good things there. So congratulations. I think the city of Chicago, the Bulls fan base will really appreciate you. We'll see how it all shakes out. But let me see. I got some people commenting here. Oh, thanks, James. James is watching. Appreciate you watching, James. He's following us here on Facebook. Appreciate that, James. Let me get back. See all your comments here. I've missed most of them. Um, Boy, I tell you, between Jay and Raul, I appreciate your takes, but I'm not sure if I agree with that about Bernie. So we're going to leave that one alone. But yes, James, you're suggesting the BLT to put the hot sauce. Yeah, I didn't do that today, but that might be the next thing to do. But it was pretty good tonight. There's so many keys to it, but if you get a good piece of bacon, thick cut of bacon, and mix it with a really good fresh tomato, like we have the market down here, Whitten's Market, during the summer, and we got some amazingly great tomatoes. So, what else did you say here? Okay, let's. Um, Yeah, thanks. James also was talking. If you're listening to us later, he is commenting from Facebook and he says, screw Johnny Football. He's always talking about his sobriety issue. But then he says he also shows he still holds his resentments and character defects are still very much alive. Go rework your 12 steps, Johnny. Yeah, I hear you, James. Completely and utterly agree. Um, and he also spoke. Thanks also, James, for understanding this as well with Chris Fedor's stupid comments. He can go live while Shador starts and rubs his eyes raw with his fingers. That guy is such a dummy. Yep. Yeah. Well, and I've said this before. I've listened and I've watched and I've read Chris Fedor's stuff over the many years, especially covering the Cavs, and I've always respected a lot of his opinions, and he usually has his stories right. But when it comes to his opinion about Shador, it certainly is disheartening, and especially how he said it. And the issue I have is like, and I go back to this whole take too that, I mean, people are doing this for their living. I get it that you got to make money. We're not making any money here, Fanatical Elves. We're just doing this for fun, and we appreciate the people that follow us and listen to us because we are growing, but we're not making millions of dollars like those folks over at the radio stations. But they're not making millions either. I get it, but sometimes people just need to shut up. All right. Well, I'm going to shut up and we're going to end this show right now. I hope everybody has a very, very good rest of your weekend. Next week is the holiday weekend, 4th of July weekend, coming up faster than you can then you like it. Or, well, you like it. Maybe you'll take the whole week off this week. We're going to be gone the following week after the holidays. So it should be a lot of fun for a lot of people. Stay safe, drive carefully, watch, be a defensive driver. Okay, folks. Everybody have a very good rest of your evening. Go Browns. And remember, too, you got it. Keep smiling. Take care.